Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on issue 2 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, as you know, Crisis on Infinite Earths was a 12-part series that was meant to have DC Comics in their first major crisis, while other crises during beforehand were mostly bench warmers. Here it kind of had this endgame-like storyline and was kind of making a clean slate. And the cover mainly has the original Earth 2 Superman, Firestorm and others going against shadow demons. It starts off how in prehistoric times the caveman Anthro goes against the Woolly Mammoths. We see how people are cheering for him and him managing to avert them away until Anthro gets hit by a branch and says, "It was a long beast or a serpent. He hit me when I wasn't looking." And of course sees a future-like city and tells them to hurry, which he sees has disappeared. And of course they head back to celebrate, with one of them wondering what happened to the Woolly Mammoths. So of course we see how the Legion of Superheroes get word that the Woolly Mammoths have ended up in the future. Everyone is running for their lives. Well, the science police say, "Ray, aim, and fire!" And we see how the Legion of Superheroes show up to try and handle the problem until they get transported away. And of course, we see how back on Earth 1, Joker has murdered a famous director to sort of get the film rights. But of course, Batman shows up saying, "Only movie you'll ever make, Joker, is a sequel to The Prisoner. And I don't mean the one in the village." "The Batman? You actually de-handed my clues? Amazing! But I was stumbled, and I wrote it." Of course, Batman points out the obvious hint, but just as Joker's about to kill him, Flash shows up to give Batman a warning, but Joker thinks this is all a joke. But Batman manages to take down Joker, but gets away. The Flash warning him that the world is dying, but we kind of learn that Barry was on Earth D, and the issue was meant to take place between issue 3 and 4. So of course, we see how the Monitor has gathered other heroes, like Aaron, Firestorm, Geoforce, and turns out he's been testing the other heroes and villains to see if they're ready to take on the threat, and needs them to help save the other Earths. But of course, others have disbeliefs and aren't too sure. And of course, we see how the Monitor needs them to try and help out to save what remains of the other Earths and make sure that the others don't fall. So of course, we see how one of them known as Lila, who is the Monitor's aide, needs them to sort of be split up into different groups and get spread across the cosmos. We see how the Guardians of the Universe try to gather up what Green Lanterns there are, but of course get taken down by an unknown force. We see how Superman flies to Metropolis and talking about stopping a sort of a volcanic eruption, but Batman points out that he saw Flash and they haven't seen him since his trial. But of course, they end up meeting Perith, who warns them that their Earth is in danger, but fades away. We see how in the 30th century, Kadami, the last boy on Earth, finds the kind of control spire and wonders what's going on, but gets attacked by one of these shadow figures. But we see the Earth 2 Superman saving him, saying, "Not quite, lad. You're safe in my hands. Superman." "How did you... Oh, of course, you must have met my Earth 1 counterpart." So of course we end up with Kadami meeting the other characters and then going against the Shadow Demons. And of course, Dawnstar and Nat trying to track them, but Saravar telling her to stay with them. And of course, we see how Lila finds Lex Luthor from Earth 3, and turns out the Monitor needs him for their next plan. We see how on Aaron's time they're finding the kind of control spire where Psycho Pirate wants to use the emotions but waits until the last moment. We see Aaron meeting back with his people. So of course we see Psycho Pirate disappointed he can't use his emotions. We see how Perith tries to warn him, but we see how Psycho Pirate wants to use his emotions to get back to his full strength. But of course gets attacked by Aaron and decides to retaliate by making them fear him. So we see how Obsidian gets Aaron to stay inside him and warns him that Psycho Pirate feeds on emotions. But of course gets teleported away. And if you've read the other issues, this is where he meets the Anti-Monitor, who wants to use him for his own purposes. And we see how the Monitor decides to use the new Dr. Light, who's meant to be the female one. And we see how Perith tries to warn them about the potential crisis at hand and what's going to happen next. We see how Lyla, as well as the Monitor, try to find and activate the new Dr. Light's powers, as well as that the wave's approaching and that the universe is close to dying. And turns out Lyra is talking to an unknown force, and there's more sinister plans at hand, ending the story. So I think, to me, issue 2 is pretty good. It's got a kind of endgame-like storyline, where we see how a bunch of heroes come from different Earths together, and we see how Psycho Pirate is going to be used for a bigger plot, and we also see how there's a lot more repercussions in other stories based with the Crisis tie-ins. So I think the story definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.